Hi, Brandon Hardison, Champion Strategies, going through our speaking series, continuing on. Once again, if this is your first time visiting, we're trying to give new speakers an opportunity to hear maybe some best practices. You came in right before the virus took over and you were anticipating speaking to large, medium, or even small audiences. And now we're confined to this box. And that wasn't your original intent. But things will come back. We will get back to what you were hoping for. Or maybe you're a speaker that's out there and had some challenges, and maybe some tips could help you here and there. So, wanted to throw a scenario that will happen to you as you become more grounded in what you do, and that is managing other speakers because the event that you were supposed to be speaking at has put it in your lap to be the person in charge of everyone. So, how do you take care of it when you have to give your speech and you have to manage the other speaking slots? Everyone would love for every event that happens to go off with a hitch. Every event would love that. But I'm here to tell you that last minute changes, cancellations, budget overruns, annoyed sponsors, if something can go wrong, as the old adage say, it will go wrong. But think about the attendees, the final product. What we're trying to do is give them what they came for. They wanted to hear some new content. They wanted to hear some new tips. They wanted to be inspired or get motivated. So the bottom line, you are now the event planner of the speaking slot. It's up to you to put this whole thing together. So when it comes to managing speaker slots and getting your ideas still out, let's just touch on a couple things that we probably need to do. So, first of all, I am now managing all of these speakers. I'm in charge. So, make sure that they deliver what they were supposed to do, what they signed up for, what they're getting paid for in their slot. After all, it's not just their reputation, it's going to be your reputation because you're the one that's behind the scenes trying to make this a success. Now, one thing you're going to run into is that people are spread out all across the country and across the world. Well, even with the current situation, if you look at it, it's still the same way if it was front of the room. Speakers are spread out all over the country anyway and all across the world. So, before an event, how can we get all of them together for a quick Zoom meeting? Get people's email addresses. Let's make sure that if there's something that's going to be shared, some type of slides or something, that everyone is on the same page. Ideas to be shared, brainstormed, making sure that you, in charge of it, know exactly how each speaker is going through. Another situation that will probably come up, you have a unresponsive speaker. For whatever reason, you've tried, you've stayed on them, two messages, three messages, different ways of communicating with them, and you're not getting any response back. And this is one of the people that was maybe keynoting or highlighting your event. What do you do in that situation? Well, the old adage, the show must and will go on. Do not find yourself running down a rabbit hole that you're not going to win. If you cannot catch up with that speaker, just let him or her go. Now, if they show up at the last minute, pull them aside, you're adults, and let's find out what happened. If it makes sense, I would let the presentation go on. If it looks like the respect factor isn't there or they do not care about the outcome of your event, you don't know what they're going to say when that mic is hot. And you make the decision to not let them come on. That's your call. It's a tough call, but remember, they abandoned or disrespected you by not returning any of the messages that you left about the event that you wanted them to speak for. So if it wasn't important to them then, I would make the decision that it's not important to them now. Now, remember we said you have your content that you must make sure if you're speaking on this that you don't decline on what you are going to say to them. So, a few tips with that. Always spend some time and take yourself away from the role of managing all of this so you can still practice. If you've heard each and every one of the speaking series, we talked about practice, 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 practice. So this way I know what I'm saying and I can still cover the rest of the speakers that are going to be there. Everyone that's going to be speaking, they have a different route coming into the session. You, as the leader, must make sure I may have to change some slots for speakers, depending on the times that they're coming in. Now, this is not that hard to do if people are communicating with you. Things do happen. It's real world, but we can manage it to make sure that the audience are still getting what they need. So you just make a few changes here and there. And another problem, no content ahead of time for the speakers. In other words, there should have been some information that should have been sent to you for the event. Like I said earlier, slides, there's no backups. We have to find a way to keep moving and getting the information to the guests if there's no content there. Also, when you have this meeting with all of the speakers, always get a backup if your main presentation theme can't be done. What can be a secondary that we can plug in? This way, you still have something that they're comfortable saying in front of the group, and you already have the content that can flow. So, your people running the board or whoever is managing the slides or AV or whatever it may be, everyone is synced on the same page. Now, I would say if you do one, two of these a year, you're doing well. It may never happen to you, and that's a good thing. But if you ever get into an event where you find yourself that I was just going to speak, but now I need to manage, just think of the speaking slots being a tough thing, but think about the audience. Once you deliver, just like any other event planner doing weddings, reunions, whatever it may be, look at them as they're watching the event going on. And you can look at yourself saying that I was a big part of making this successful event happen. And it will be successful. So just keep your poise. Always take a deep breath. We've talked about what to do when you're nervous, and you'll have a great event. Once again, Brandon Hardison for Champion Strategies. As always, in parting, make it a champion day.